Most delicious ones, welcome back. Death to the fingers. Damn, you can barely see in here. I just took a giant haul off the old GMO cookies. That's what we call living in the cloud in the old days. I'm back to normal-ish. Oh my God, the 50-year-old old man cannot handle it. Sunday was punished severely for my sins. Monday wasn't much better. Honestly, I woke up this morning, I was like, seriously? Residuals. But I got on old Smokey there, and let me tell you, that'll perk you up in the morning. Woo! So, Pummeled by Pentatonic, eh? Now listen, the original version, I did these things a lot faster, and I was like, that's kind of stupid. And the reason is very simple. I don't want you to think that shred is everything. Shred is only a part of it. It's actually a very small part of it. What I want to demonstrate is how you can group a whole bunch of ideas together around a bass system. In this case, the pentatonics. And I'm going to go through every one of these licks, show you the bass lick, and then you can put it together in whichever way you want. And that's kind of the magic there, okay? Never just do what somebody tells you. Be like, okay, that's how you start out, and then work out from there. Makes sense? Done with the chit-chat. Let's get into this psycho lick. All right, shred sexies, prepare thyself for a beating. We're just going to whip right through this. First of all, we need to set the parameters, obviously, which is going to be the key. In this case, I'm playing B minor because that's what the backing track's in, right? Which tells me I'm also playing in D major, right? Remember, anytime I have this pentatonic scale, if that's the root, the 6th degree, moving to the second note is going to tell me what the parent key is I'm operating in that's relative to it, okay? D major in this case is relative minor is B minor. B minor's relative major is D major. Okay, that's an important piece of information even if you don't understand that right now. It will make sense to you later on when things start to fall into place a little bit more. Try to just boil it down there, accept a few simple facts, and then sort of rationalize it later when you get a little bit more experience. Don't agonize over trying to figure everything out at once. Okay, just be like, okay, I'll take that as truth. Done. Right, so then what I wanted to do is just do my opening salvo. In this case, I did a really shreddy one, but this technique is incredibly important. It's called 3-in-1. It's basically pioneered by Frank Gambale. We're going to look at it now with respect to the pentatonic scale. It's just a rearrangement of the pentatonic scale notes so that I play them so I can get a sweep in there, which lets me play them incredibly fast, as you heard, which also has this cool sort of intervallic look. I'll show you also in the major scale here. But essentially what I want to do is to start off by ganging two of these shapes together. In this case, of course, B minor and the D major, right? So I got 7, 10, and 12, all on the low E string. Then jumping up here to 9 on the A string. 7, 9, 12 now on the D string. Again, 9 on the G string. Then 7, 10, 12 on the B string. Ending, of course, on 10 on the high E string. Okay, that gives me the pentatonic scale. Traditionals, which is 2 notes per string. If I could play it, there's the 3-in-1. Now, as far as the picking's going, I'm going down, up, down, down, down. And that's the magic right there. Okay, so it's down, up, down, down, down. Oh, sounds like the Koreans are invading. Got a Red Dawn situation going on here. I can hear the planes going over top. Right, so, okay, that's the opening salvo there. I'm just using that. Again, if in the major scale, if I played 3. Now, in this case, I took it off the B string, the 3 notes, and I put it on the high E. And it gives you, of course, that really cool sort of intervallic look. It just breaks up that scalar pattern with something a little bit different. So it can be a really great tool. In this case, we're using just the pentatonic scale because I want to sort of limit this practice exercise to just using that as the template for me to figure out how to move around on the fretboard. Right? I don't try to incorporate all these ideas, but what I do is incorporate elements of other ideas into the framework of the pentatonic scale so that I can now get a deeper appreciation about how to use these advanced techniques in a much more simplistic type arrangement rather than trying to do it all, figuring it out with the major scales and the modes, which gets a little bit more dicey. So, that's the opening riff. From there, we're going into hammer-ons and pull-offs. Essentially, I'm using this major pentatonic, the minor, and Mixolydian here as the anchor points for my idea. And then what I wanted to do was essentially do hammer-ons and pull-offs, if you will, to essentially flesh out this hammer-on and pull-off sequence, so I get more of a scale idea, or also interval, right? So in this case, I'm barring at the 10th fret, right? Because I'm using this major first. So I'm going to bar there. I'm going to hammer on, pull off, and then hammer on, of course, just at the 12th here. As far as the picking is concerned, I'm doing the inside picking, so it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the pick is basically situated between the high E and the B string, not going outside. That's when you go start on the outside of the B string and then go outside on the E string. That's a different one, but in this case, inside, okay? Now from here, I know that's the 3 notes from Locrian. And that means this major, right? So now I have these other positions. I have this one already. But now I can add in this next one. Which gives me the sequence. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing, moving down here to the minor. But if I just do the same pattern of hammer-ons and pull-offs, I'll kill the forward momentum I just created there, because people will be like, oh, that's a little bit too samey. So negative, what I want to do is just make a slight rearrangement of the notes now, so that I can basically now recycle that idea. So in this case, I'm going to start with this pentatonic shape here, where I'm doing the hammer-on pull-off sequence, my anchor point, and then I'm going to go high, then low. Right, so stuff like that makes a big difference when you're doing your solos. So again, get this. Just a little change. I changed it up a bit there because I'm trying to think on my feet, not doing a great job because I'm stoned. But you get the idea, right? That tiny sort of twist in the notes makes a massive difference in how people perceive your solo. Moving down to Mixolydian here. In this case, I'm going to do, of course, this Lydian sequence. And to Mixolydian, right? Come on, major 7 raised 11 into Mixolydian. It's just so juicy. Anyways, sorry I got excited. I love it when a plan works out. So, I'm basically now, what was it? I can't even remember what the hell we're talking about. Oh yeah, hammer-ons and pull-offs and Mixolydian here, okay? There's that Lydian movement, and then of course up into the Mixolydian, right? Might be like, damn, what's going on there, kid? Oh yeah, it's the same sequence. Okay, so, oh my God. Now you notice in the example, I actually kind of stop in the middle here. I go. And the reason is that it's a good way to sort of a little practice hack there if you're not really great at this at the beginning, and you can then get yourself positioned in the next position here. Now, if you think it's cooler to go the other way, do it. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what the sequence is. You just figure out the best one that works for you, and then moving down to the next position, of course. Again, me just ending in these pentatonic shapes, the major here and the minor. All from those 2 shapes there, right? So once I got here. that bad. So, I mean, after that, we're getting into now this whole tone sequence where I'm using the pentatonic, skeleton, if you will, but I'm starting to factor in this flattened third from the, the blues sequence, if you will. So I get this skeleton. So it's all whole steps there, right? Here's a whole step in Mixolydian, sliding up into Aeolian now. That's into Ionian, yes. Into Dorian, right? So that means the positions when I say that. This is the note that starts, this one here is Mixolydian, right? So that's why I call that Mixolydian. And when I go into this position, this note here, which is where these notes come from, is in the Aeolian position. When I get up here, that's where those notes come from, this Ionian position, right? If I were playing a scale, right, it's slightly different, but it's basically in the exact same position. And that's why I call it those. And then finally, that's in the Dorian position, right? Because I'm now at the second degree, right? The E. So put those all together with just a whole step. I got a pretty cool little sequence there that basically teaches you a lot about the fretboard and 3-octave scales and all kinds of good stuff, but I'm not going to get too deep into it. But then what I wanted to do is start to factor in this flattened third, so I got the blues flavor, right? So now I get... Right, so I have those same patterns happening all over. So it makes it very easy for me to use that as a soloing device, if you will. Again, slowly. To remember, it's the sound there. Right, that's what I'm looking for. I'm concentrating on the sound that I want to create, not... oh, I gotta play the middle note of the minor pentatonic scale. You're like, okay. Or. There's a trillion ways of representing that idea, but it's... it's the skeleton of it that you're going to use now to leap off and be able to do much more complex ideas. Now it's the flattened third, but factor in a raised 5 to get the dime bag. Right, so on and so forth. So incredibly useful tool. Right now it applies to one particular set of notes. In this case, the minor pentatonic. And there's many more, of course, right here. There's so many more, man. Like, honestly, you'll come across all kinds of crazy weird ones. And you'll be like, damn, that sounds amazing. That's the note I've been looking for. But it starts off with just training yourself with the obvious. In this case, the blues one, and that's what I did. Notice I'm doubling up. I've got first this one with the slide into the chromaticism. Whole step bend there. Half step. Exercise both of them so that you know where the target note is. And you're gonna go. and try to get those down as neatly as possible. How are we doing? We're doing pretty good. I made a few mistakes, whatever. No care. Groups of 5 now. Getting started in the major scale again. Let's just savage ourselves with this, ganging of the pentatonic scales together into 2 shapes. So in this case, I'm starting in the major and the Dorian position. And here's the thing, I was like, okay, I could keep going down, but people get confused. So I'll use the 3 octaves principle. So when I get to this last note here, I can do the exact same thing again with the same fingerings. I can do it again. Okay, that is the 3 octaves principle. That's Greg Howe thing and countless other guys. That's pretty important, obviously, right? Now listen, you might have to sit down and put some of these charts together and get a highlighter out, or whatever the easiest way for you to do this. Get a full sort of like fretboard diagram with all the notes of it on there, and then just go highlight the box and work on practicing that on your own. Be your own motivation to sort of get the stuff done. Trust me, the results are pretty spectacular. I used to be like, okay, just show me how to do it. It's so much faster. It's not. You actually have this new skill that becomes available to you. So just take it from me. Right, so in this case, it doesn't really matter what the positions are. I could have used the... right, a different sequence of notes or whatever it is. But in this case, I was like, this makes it nice and neat and keeps it nice and tight. Now that is the sequence. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Because then I'm going to go do another upstroke. Again, notice how I'm getting the upstrokes, okay? The upstroke here between the 2 strings helps you play this ridiculously fast. And that is another little technique thing there. Notice I set it up with a down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up. Okay, I can't do it in Sataka because I'm too schnizhed. But you get the point, okay? Like you sit there and come up with your own and be like, look, if I do it this way, then I get 2 upstrokes in a row. Or if I do it this way, I get 2 downstrokes in a row. And that cuts down on 99% of the mistakes. Start practicing it slow. Those stretches are brutal. Don't get lazy like I did there. And then work to get it faster. Maybe I shouldn't talk and try to do this at the same time. Okay, so those are groups of 5. Close enough. Okay, so that's the 5 or the groups of 5. Now for the melodic minor stuff, essentially I'll flash these up here on the screen. You got to move to the mixolydian position and move a half step down. Okay, I'm just basically carrying on this B melodic minor scale, right? So I'm just going to play this. Now I'm filling in the chromatic note there. Right, so I'm just doing the exact scale and filling in a few extra notes there, but you can just play the regular one. Into this whole step now from the last note, okay, which gets me up to this 9th fret. And from here, I'm just going to overlay this dominant 7 arpeggio. It's the first inversion. And I'm going to come out of the tension that I just created there with this melodic minor to the dominant 7 by moving back into the B minor scale or B minor pentatonic to resolve it. Okay? Notice I can add these notes from the from the melodic minor scale that happens right here. So now I can connect those two ideas together, right? Nails it. And down to the dominant 7. Oh my God, that sounds killer. Resolve. That's how you use outside stuff. In this case, I'm using two very common tools, the melodic minor and the dominant 7, grouped together so that you can kind of get a big feel about how to start to put these things together. Okay, and you can hear in the context of the music, it sounds pretty badass. And it's also awesome to do in the middle of your solo because it breaks up, again, this sameness of you just playing in the diatonic key all the time. So, move to the Mixolydian position. Move a half step down. Play this sequence. Notice that I have to keep going into that scale until I get to one of these rest notes. That's an important thing I didn't actually understand for quite some time, so don't make my mistake. Carry these things on until you get to those sexy notes, and then guess what? You can destabilize again. And then restabilize. So again, it's just an extra, another level, another gear, if you will, of sexiness where people are just like, damn, bro, come on. That little resolution there, just moving up to this, is what is, that's a chef gift stuff, right? Okay. Get a little saucy there, whatever, good enough, right? And then from there, of course, I'm already in this B minor again. So why not just use this minor triad arpeggio in its root inversion, right? That's the 6th degree, nails it. And group it into 3s. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. I think from here I do this major 7. Now listen, you don't have to do that. There's a major 7 there, of course. Again, 3 octaves principle. Killer, right? Tell me that doesn't sound badass. Chef kiss. So, you're right. That's what I'm using to get out of this sort of arpeggio sequence, right? I need to resolve the tension of that note with something nice. All notes from Aeolian there. And Mixolydian. I know. Get those 3 notes per string systems into you and just make them yours. Okay, I'm getting carried away, sorry. Next on the list is intervals. Okay, so after that, I'm like, okay, awesome. We do our thing here. And we get back, and what I want to do now is just start to climb up in intervals using, again, this minor triad. So all I'm going to do is just group them into the appropriate intervals. Now listen, there's a whole bunch of configurations of that. I'm doing the most obvious one, this 5th. 6, 6, 5th, 6, and another 6 there. Notice, again, the intervals. Listen to them. If I could play them properly. Right, so get into that idea of 5ths. Then again, just carrying on with 5ths. If you're not comfortable climbing up the fretboard, you got to get comfortable with that first. Right, and then you can start to use that more effectively. so I'm trying to break up the monotony of the fifth by moving to the sixth and then back to the fifth, which gives me now the reason to go back to the sixth and start this interval run with respect to the arpeggio. Again, a great tool there to use. Of course, I can move here to the fifth, right, and then ascend with a different one, of course. Okay, but once I essentially get to the end here, from here I just ascend Lydian, using 3 notes per string. Then into Mixolydian, same idea. And I just end it with some blues crap. All the elements, one shot. 3-in-1. Hammer-ons and pull-offs. Incorporating the blues note into a blues sequence. Sequences, 5s, 7s, 9s, I don't care. You can get crazy. That's Sean Lane territory. Get into it. Sneak some outside playing in there with the melodic minor and the dominant 7. Start working on those arpeggios, not just as sweeps, but as segmented groups in 3s and 4s. And then, yes, recycle the same arpeggio information as far as the notes and the fretboard diagram is concerned, to then sort of attach them together as intervals and get comfortable using those bad boys, and then put them all together in a big sort of enchilada like I did, relatively speaking, at the beginning. And then just keep practicing like that all the time using different systems. Maybe the next week you're going to use 3 notes per string. The week after that you're going to use diatonic arpeggios. The week after that you're going to do triad pairs. The choices are relatively endless. Get your nose to the grindstone, because I expect results. Biatch. See you in the next one.